Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to boot up the system and take a look at the unseen, high-tech infrastructure that makes our modern spatial reality possible. Every time you pull up a map on your phone, you're tapping into an incredibly complex, hidden network of institutions, and that is exactly what we are going to unpack today. So, who actually builds the maps on your phone? A lot of us just kind of assume there's one giant tech company single-handedly mapping the entire world from scratch. But the reality? It's far more fascinating. The maps we rely on daily aren't built in a vacuum. They're the output of a sprawling, highly interconnected global cyber network that spans across totally different sectors of society. To really understand how the world is mapped, we have to look at what we call the cartographic ecosystem. Think of it as a massive living network made up of scientific, administrative, and economic institutions. They are all constantly collaborating, gathering, and sharing spatial data. They each have a distinct role, but they absolutely rely on each other to keep the data flowing. To run a quick system diagnostic, we can break this network down into four main areas: science, administration, the economy, and finally, the associations. Let's start right at the source code, science, the cartographic innovators. Now, you might be surprised to learn that cartography isn't always an independent, standalone degree these days. Instead, it acts as a vital engine hidden inside other major disciplines. For example, over in Germany, university cartography programs are primarily aligned with geodesy, which is the hardcore math and science of actually measuring the Earth. Meanwhile, in the US, it's mostly driven by geography. And it isn't just universities. Major administrative organizations like the UK's Ordnance Survey take on significant research work to push the whole field forward. Which naturally brings us to our second node, administration, the official mapmakers. If science writes the theory, administration provides the rock-solid baseline data. These are the heavy-duty government agencies responsible for the sovereign task of mapping their nations. They produce the authoritative topographic maps we all rely on. You've got the BKG in Germany managing smaller scale maps, the BEV in Austria coordinating over 40 different surveying offices, and Swiss Topo in Switzerland acting as the overarching authority for official surveying. They maintain the systems that ensure a coordinate in real life exactly matches a point on your screen. But here is where it gets interesting. This administrative architecture varies wildly depending on a country's political structure. In places like Great Britain or France, it's highly centralized. They use a single central executive authority, like the Ordnance Survey or the IGN. But Germany? Totally decentralized. Their federal states handle the larger scales, from 1 to 5,000 up to 1 to 100,000, while the federal BKG steps in for the smaller scales. It's a massive division of labor that requires some serious coordination. And it goes way beyond basic topography. Specialized hubs plug right into this network for deep data layers. Sticking with Germany for a second, you've got the BSH handling nautical charts for the oceans and the BGR tracking geosciences and natural resources. And to make sure all these scattered state and federal hubs actually talk to each other, a coordinating body called the ADV steps in to keep the whole geodata infrastructure running smoothly across the country. But hey, data doesn't just stop at a physical borderline, right? That's where organizations like Eurographics come in. It's a harmonizing network connecting 46 different nations to build a fully interoperable European geodata infrastructure. They ensure that all these individual national data nodes speak the exact same language, so everything aligns perfectly from one country to the next. Next up, we patch into the third mainframe, the economy, focusing on private sector applications. There has been a massive paradigm shift here. Remember the old days of buying paper maps and travel guides? Well, the free availability of internet data totally disrupted that old business model. Today's cartographic economy has been transformed into a lightning-fast, high-tech sector. Cartographers are highly sought after by software companies building geographic information systems, by global logistics firms, and by mobility tech companies pushing the boundaries of autonomous driving. The private sector basically takes the science and the administration data and builds the high-speed applications you and I use every day. Finally, let's look at node number 4, associations, the network connectors. This brings up a major question. How do these three disparate mainframes, science, administration, and economy, actually communicate? The answer is associations. Sitting right in the dead center of the ecosystem, they are the ultimate hubs that synchronize the whole cartographic world. They form the vital interface where the scientists, the government officials, and the private sector engineers can actually meet up and exchange knowledge. Most of these global superconnectors were formed post-WW2 to handle a massive explosion of geographic data. Take the International Cartographic Association, or ICA, founded in Bern back in 1959. It acts like a giant global router, bringing together 74 different national associations to share code and establish standards. And on the commercial side, you have the IMIA, which connects the commercial mapping and geospatial industry globally. And how do they transmit all this scientific data worldwide? Through highly specialized journals. Whether it's the German Society for Cartography publishing KN since 1951, or the NACIS in the US putting out cartographic perspectives, these journals are the literal lifeblood of the network. They ensure that a brilliant algorithmic breakthrough at a university in Canada can be instantly utilized by a logistics company in Great Britain. So, bringing it all together, the map on your smartphone screen is never just a simple picture. It's a live rendering of this entire ecosystem working in perfect, unseen harmony. Science is constantly writing the theoretical code. Administration is painstakingly laying down the authoritative base layers. The economy is actively building the user applications, and the associations are tirelessly synchronizing the whole shebang. Without all four of these nodes operating together, the geospatial awareness we totally take for granted today simply wouldn't exist. So, the next time you pull out your phone and rely on a map to navigate the world, I want you to ask yourself, as this invisible, highly integrated network grows even more complex with new tech, how will it shape the future of human reality? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the maps that guide you.